Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today we have a very special video planned for y'all. We're going to be doing a story time / get ready with me video about, my roots, where I was before YouTube and all that. So first of all, I need you guys to smash that like button. If we get 20,000 likes for the next video, I'll finally do that raw chicken heart mukbang that y'all have been requesting. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. So, I guess this all started with my birth. My memory of it is pretty blurry, but I just remember waking up, seeing a dark figure in front of me, and so that's basically how I met my father. I just think it's funny how he created me, and then once he sees me, he just gets scared and decides to leave, but, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, without any means of communication and a complete lack of social skills, I did what any rational newborn would do, and I went to go mingle with the locals. So, that's the moment I realized that it wasn't just my father who hated me, but the entire goddamn earth. So I started wandering aimlessly for a few hours until I found this quiet neighborhood with a nice garage, and I decided to stay there. I ended up being there for 6 months, actually. And why would I be there for 6 months, do you ask? Well, first of all, how many newborns can afford an apartment these days? That's like, if you're lucky, $1,200 a month.
Oh shit.
Fucking tight. And second of all, it turns out I was in the garage of this super cool family. Yeah, there was this blind dude, there was a brother and sister, and they just seemed really nice. I mean, they weren't doing too well, so I figured, if I'm staying there, not paying rent, they're completely unaware of my existence, I would help them out a bit. So over these 6 months, I start helping the family, gathering food, water, the essentials for them. I also start to learn how to read and write and just basically be a normal functioning human being in society. One day, I'm just reading, doing my thing, and that's when I see myself in a mirror for the first time. You ever have those days where you feel so ugly that no one would ever love you and society as a whole would just ostracize you forever? Yeah, it was that, but worse. So naturally, I wonder why I'm like this, right? I mean, if you're ugly, especially monster ugly, you want to know why. But listen, I got receipts. I see this phone, and I find out that it's actually my father's, and I find all this information about how, I'm an experiment and how he created me in a lab and all this stuff, but we'll get to that later. So at this point, I'm sitting in my garage, ugly, all alone, no real chance at redemption in sight, and I find that the blind old man, is alone as well. And that's when I realize that he's blind, so he can't see how ugly I am. So I go up to him, I say hello, and he naturally says, "Who's there?" because he's blind and I'm just a guy wandering in his house. But I say, "Hey, I'm a traveler," and he's open to it. And we start talking, and we hit it off right off the bat. He tells me about his life, his family, and that he's blind, and I just have to act like I don't know what he's talking about. And then he says he wants to feel my face, and at that point, I was horrified. And yeah, I know at this point you're probably gonna say, "Are you dumb?" But I was young. I was a newborn, Give me a break here. So I let him touch my face, and he goes, "Who are you?" And right in that moment, the brother and sister decide to come back, and they're freaked out because they see me, and they start attacking me. I'm getting hit with sticks, and at this point, I'm just so freaked out that I have a temper tantrum, like a whole Terrible 2 style temper tantrum. It's bad. In that moment, I never really questioned my existence more. I mean, I just thought about whoever this Victor Frankenstein was. He created me, and he knew I looked like this. And in that moment, I was just more angry than I've ever felt before. Angry at the world, but especially angry at him. Okay, so disclaimer, guys, this is where the story gets pretty dark. But I was young, and we learn from our mistakes. We grow from them. That's what life is. So anyways, long story short, after this terrible incident, I'm on the run, and I see this girl drowning in the river, so naturally, like the hero that I am, I go to save her life. But how am I repaid for this? A dude comes out with a gun and tries to kill me. So at this point, I'm just ready to quit society. You know, I'm just chilling in the woods as one does when everyone ostracizes you. And then I see this beautiful blonde little boy. And I think about it for a second. I mean, I was so dumb as a baby. Imagine me having my own child. I could educate him, teach him to be kind, and, you know, even keep him as a companion. So I try and grab him, and he screams, and I'm like, what the hell, man? And he goes, don't eat me. And then get this, he says, my father is the Mr. Frankenstein. And if you take me, you're gonna be in big trouble. His father was the Mr. Frankenstein. So that kid went from being my friend, my companion, to my first victim. So this is where the story gets a bit messy, but basically the kid ends up dying and his caretaker takes the fall for it, and she pays the price via the good old noose. Yeah, did I mention it was gonna get dark? Anyways, this is where my father finally comes into play. So, at this point, my father was pretty upset with my actions and set out to destroy me once and for all. Yada, yada, yada. Point is, we hated each other, but I knew that we had to meet up at some point to squash this beef once and for all. So, I set up a friendly and equal exchange. He makes me my own wife, and in exchange, I don't murder everyone he's ever known or loved. So pretty fair, I would say. So naturally, he agrees to the deal, and we part ways after that. All that was left to do was wait. I watched this dude tool around for months. I even had to witness that really gross brother-sister thing that he had going on with his lover, until finally he goes to make me my girl. So my father, you know, the silly guy that he was, spends months making this bride for me, until he goes soft. This man literally takes my future wife, goes out to the lake, and drops her inanimate corpse in there. And at this point, I'm pretty angry, so I tell him, you're not gonna make me a wife? I'll take yours then. You ready? Oh yeah, send a wedding invite my way. Coming for you, bro. Maybe this would have been more threatening if I told him that I was gonna kill his sister. But anyways, despite my threat, this man decides to skip town and tries to escape. I go and try and find him. You know, I have needs, you know, and he's my dad. So shouldn't he want me to be happy? Well, apparently not, because he doesn't get the corpse back from the lake, and he doesn't take my threat seriously. So at this point, you probably realize that my dad wasn't the brightest. So he marries the girl. Big mistake, obviously, on his part. And I really am a man of my word, so let's just say I follow through with my promise. I take everything away from him. And at this point, you would think that would stop him, but no. He just kept running. And I followed him for months. We went miles, hundreds of miles. And when I found him, he was dead. And at that point, I didn't really know what to do. I mean, isn't that what I wanted? He took everything from me. He created me. He inflicted so much pain, and he didn't even seem to care. But, I mean, he was my father. I dedicated my entire life to making him miserable, but once he was gone, it was different. You know, yeah, maybe if things had gone differently, he wouldn't have died, wouldn't have lost everything. So I think it's his fault. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you listening to my story today and getting ready with me. You know, makeup can't really do much for these scars and this grotesque everything going on here. But, you know, one loose end my father left was my name. He never gave me a name. So that's what your guys' job is. If you want to leave a comment down below in this video, give me a name, and maybe I'll choose the one that gets the most likes. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.